So, I apologize, first and foremost, if any and all the information in this video is going to be outdated. That's because I am pre-recording this audio on the afternoon of Friday, October 4th. If I have been doing my job correctly, you would have already known that by now I am in Vegas. So I am out there, just chilling, out and about, doing my thing, and I still have a show to do, so we're pre-recording some videos here. Today I wanted to revisit the 1 year later series that we had started up in a very small capacity at the beginning of the offseason, which goes over prospects from the 2023 NHL Draft last year and checks in with where they are 1 year later. Now, this is a little bit of a bonus episode of 1 year later because the guy we are talking about, his regular season in the SHL has already begun, and he's already producing points, which gives us a little bit of a 1 year and an extra few months later kind of look at him and his profile. Today we are talking about the Detroit Red Wings and the player they had selected in the 17th overall spot. It is none other than Swedish defenseman AXEL Sandin Pellikka. Now, before we dive into ASP, I wanted to get into the context here. AXEL Sandin Pellikka was taken with Detroit's 17th overall pick, a pick that initially wasn't Detroit's, it was actually the New York Islanders' first-round pick. The reason Detroit obtained this pick is because of the Filip Hronek trade, wherein the Wings sent Hronek to Vancouver with a 4th-round pick for this first-round pick, the 17th overall pick from New York, and a 2023 second. Now, we can talk about the second-round picks and all the other extra stuff in another video, but in this video, essentially, the Red Wings traded away Filip Hronek, who was an offensive-leaning right-handed defenseman, and they used the draft pick to get ASP, who is an offensive-leaning right-handed defenseman. ASP is 19 years old, 5'11", 185, right-handed dude, so definitely not any significant upgrade size-wise or position-wise over Hronek, but ASP is, of course, younger. Filip Hronek also had himself a pretty good year with Vancouver, so I don't think this trade was a bad one. Anyways, enough about Filip Hronek. He's on Vancouver now. We don't really care. ASP is noteworthy for being drafted in the 17th overall spot because he was supposed to go a lot higher. Most scouting outlets had him as a top 15 guy. Everyone actually did. Elite Prospects had him at 15, McKeen's had him at 14, Bob McKenzie also had him at 14, but Bob McKenzie had ASP as a 5th overall caliber guy. Future considerations had him at number 8. So this very well was a really highly touted player because in the Swedish Hockey League that season, he did produce a significant amount of points, 36 in 31 J20 games and 5 points in 22 regular SHL games. That is no easy feat for a 17-year-old to be playing in the top league in Sweden and to even get ice time. Not to mention the skill set that he has. If you think about what Quinn Hughes can do for the Vancouver Canucks, I'd say ASP is a very, very light version of that. Like, I know I tossed that comparison out there a lot. Lane Hudson, I think, is the guy who's most recipient to the Quinn Hughes label treatment, but ASP is like a light, extra third-removed cousin version of Quinn Hughes, wherein he moves around the offensive zone very well, he's got great vision, great passing, shooting has improved, and he happens to have really nice edge work too. He's deceptive and not afraid to try stuff out, which is what contributes to his success playing on that top-of-the-umbrella spot. AXEL Sandin Pellikka, if everything works out well, could be seen as a potential number 1 power play quarterback option at the NHL level, and a guy who could be upwards of maybe, let's say, 55 to 60 points a year. This is the profile that he had, and it's why he was ranked so highly. But the reason he dropped all the way to 17... I would have to guess it's maybe the same reason that Lane Hudson and Quinn Hughes and all these other guys seem to drop. It's because he's not 6'5", and it's because he's not necessarily physical. He's a smaller, offensively leaning defenseman, and when the Red Wings picked him up, I think it was very widely seen as a steal. Right away. Hey, the Wings got this guy at 17, he was supposed to go top 10. Crazy. In fact, we made the argument too. The fact that the Wings might have reached on a guy like Nate Danielson at 9th overall and got a huge steal with ASP at 17th overall means that if you switch the draft picks around, if you think about it like, hey, maybe the Wings should have just drafted ASP 9th overall and then drafted Nate Danielson 17th, you had a lot of people rationalizing the 2 draft picks in their heads with that sort of logic. But either way, ASP was taken 17th and he looked awesome in that spot. Give it a season though, and ASP has a legitimately great draft plus 1 year. He piggybacked off of his SHL comfortability and was able to produce 18 points in 39 games. Add to this 7 points in 14 playoff games and 6 points in 7 World Junior games as an alternate captain, and you have the pickings of a guy who, at 18 years old, was already a force to be reckoned with. And right now, starting out the season with Skellefteå AIK at the time of recording this audio, ASP has 2 goals and 3 assists for 5 points in the 6 games he has played so far. He is on pace for 43 points in 52 games, and he has been looking great every single game. Skellefteå, at the time of recording this audio, has only lost 1 game, and the 1 game they had lost had seen ASP score the only Skellefteå goal. He's been getting upwards of 22 minutes a night and 16 minutes on the low end, and has racked up plus-minus numbers like crazy. He has been legitimately effective here. Now, maybe by the time this video is uploaded, Skellefteå plays a few more games, maybe the numbers are a little bit more evenly distributed, maybe everything's down to earth. Maybe he has no points from the time I'm recording this audio to the time the video gets public on YouTube. Maybe everything changes, but for now, AXEL SANDIN PELLIKKA has been showing off a lot more of what makes him great, and he's been a lot more comfortable taking that next step at the top league in Sweden. Throughout his junior development, he was always one of the better guys, which is why his point production in the J20 and the J18 was always so good. The biggest obstacle, though, was always going to be taking that talent against men. And before stepping into the AHL for 2025-2026, this 24-25 SHL season is going to be a really good, even coat of primer for him to be able to adapt and adjust, hopefully building up his game and eventually becoming that top-tier SHL defenseman that we know he can be. If you head over to the SHL right now and you sort by defenseman points, you will find that AXEL SANDIN PELLIKKA is one of the top guys in the league. Now, he is not the top guy. That honor belongs to Henrik Tomarne, who actually was a former Vancouver Canucks AHL prospect, so I kind of like him a little bit, but ASP is right in there, tied for 3rd in the SHL in defenseman points. If you sort by points per game, he also is near the top there. He's still in the top 10, so it's pretty great to see that. Definitely a good profile for a guy who's only 19 years old, and who's just going to get better as his career and the year goes on. Now I think, ultimately, the long-term question is, where is he going to slot into the lineup? If Moritz Seider is playing 28 minutes a night, how many minutes does ASP get? Because they're both right-handed and they're both going to be one after the other in the lineup. Do you give AXEL SANDIN PELLIKKA the majority offensive starts? You give him the #1 power play spot? Does Seider get more of a defensive role and thus fewer points by the time he maxes out in his prime? Do you go with the running the ground with the #1 defenseman in the same way that Quinn Hughes is the Vancouver guy and Cale Makar is the Colorado guy? And is ASP that guy to do that? Do you try to do the Swedish connection here? Do you put ASP on a pairing with Simon Edvinsson long term, and you have a really nice David and Goliath kind of pairing to stabilize the top pairing in Detroit? Do you use Seider as a shutdown specialist and only in defensive zone situations? There are a lot of options here, especially since these defensemen are so distinct and very highly profiled guys that really I don't think you can go wrong with any sort of combination here. At the end of the day, ASP is a talented guy, and in his prime, if he's given all the right opportunities and develops the proper way from here on out, could very well still be that 60-point caliber guy that sticks his name in Red Wings history for years and years to come. So if you're a Wings fan, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about AXEL SANDIN PELLIKKA and the year that he has had since being drafted. He has slowly gotten better, and everything is on track. There's really nothing to complain about, I would say, when it comes to ASP and his development. Maybe you can say it was a choice to have him back in the SHL rather than playing him in Grand Rapids, but he'll get the Grand Rapids treatment next year. For now, though, it's his duty to continue being one of the top SHL defenders, consistently stay at the top of the point production race, and continue getting those minutes as the games get more important. And who knows, by the time the SHL playoffs come, if AXEL SANDIN PELLIKKA is consistently getting 22, 23, 24 minutes a night, who knows how good and confident he's going to be then. I cannot wait to see that guy suiting up in a red and white sweater. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about AXEL SANDIN PELLIKKA and where he has gone from then until now. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.